I'm using my phone to film or record audio because for some reason my mic is not working. I think I have to charge it. But hello, hi. If you're new here, my name is Bash Harry. This is the Harry Knit. We do a lot of knitting stuff, very casual, very chill. And I need to re-knit a sweater vest. And I've been putting it off for a while. And I thought I'd take you on this journey. If you're new here, I do occasionally design knitwear patterns, and they're really fun, but a lot of things get lost in the sauce. And one of the things that got lost was this sweater vest that I had been making since, I'm going to say January. So I knitted it in maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks in January. I finished it. And it looked pretty nice from what I remember. But the main issue came with blocking it. Because this was made with alpaca yarn. I cannot remember the amount. I think it was like maybe about 60 or 80% alpaca. I think it was from Hamanaka from Japan. If I remember it, I'll leave a link or the info here. And so when I blocked it, it ended up too big. So what should have been maybe 6 to 8 to 10 inches of positive ease according to my measurements, it ended up being about 24. So this actually is a size, I want to say 2XL, when I was initially going to knit up a size S. And because this yarn or this sweater vest ate up all the yarn, I had to get into my gauge swatches. I had to get into all the swatches to finish this. I was not able to do accurate measurements. I tried my best based on all the info that I already had written down back in January. But because I was so disgruntled, disappointed with how the pattern came out and that I couldn't wear it, and because I didn't have any gauge swatches and because it's like made with cables and some ribbing and laces and stockinette and seed stitches, the gauge was a bit off. So I was a bit worried about that. So I took it off. I wasn't thinking about it for 9 months. And now I decided to re-knit the sweater because this is still great yarn. It's just unfortunate that I cannot wear it. And that is okay. I knew that there wouldn't be a lot of people here in Brunei who would want to wear it because it's made of alpaca and it's very warm. I needed to make sure my design was fine all across the board. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to frog this, skein it, re-skein it, wind it back into a ball, and I'm going to knit it again while I'm working on the pattern because I already did that before this video. I think I did it about 2 weeks ago. I figured out the stitch counts and everything based on the gauge that I remember or the number of stitches. I think it's about 15 stitches for 4 inches. So it's a pretty thick, quick sweater vest. I just want it done. I want to do it again. I want to have some yarn left over where I can actually wear it out. So that'll be fun. If you are in here for the journey, thank you. Please like, comment, and subscribe. That would be fun. And let's just get started. There's also a lot of things I want to fix about this project, which I think if I do it a second time around, it'll be a lot better. But we'll just have to see. Future me, she will give updates to me presently. The first thing that I ever did when starting off to unravel the yarn was cutting off all my loose ends and knots. And believe me, there were a lot of knots that I had to cut and unwind just so I could start unraveling it properly. This process probably took me the longest. I think it was about 2 to 3 hours just trying to finesse and figure out ways to unravel the yarn without harming too much of the fiber. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty proud of myself because this was a hard project to do. So me back in January took a lot of time to unravel and weave in the ends, but we managed, thankfully. You just need a good pair of scissors and sometimes a crochet hook. A crochet hook really did help me in this process when I needed to unwind. Just take it easy, and if you mess up, that's okay. I did mess up quite a few times during this process. What I did to make my process easier was winding the yarn up as I went along. You can obviously use a chair if that's easier, but I did have my Chow Swiffer with me and I really wanted to play around with it, to be honest, because it's still a pretty recent purchase. I got it back in July and I knew that this was going to be a lot more helpful when I was going to wash the yarn, especially in the tub. This was also very agonizing. Sometimes the yarn would get caught. You don't have to do it simultaneously. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but yeah, this is totally optional. You can do it after, you can wind using a chair or whatever you have at home. But since I had this in my house, I thought, you know what? It's gonna ease the process, and it did. When I was done with winding up the yarn, what I did was that I took some loose yarn. I think this was probably acrylic from years ago in a contrasting color and winded it up in an 8 figure around the yarn. So this way, when I'm washing it and it's all together, I can still see where I'm going to be cutting the loose yarn just to make sure that my eyes will not deceive me, basically. It's also really easy because I'm probably washing all of this all at one go. It prevents the yarns from getting jumbled up together and falling apart. If I used a different color thread or yarn that was very similar to the brown yarn slash wool that I was using, it would have definitely made the process a lot more difficult for me. I've weighed this out. This is about 50 grams of yarn that I've already reskeined. Not reskeined, more like turned it into this. I frogged it, I unraveled it. And you can see how kind of looks like noodles, doesn't it? It looks like ramen. I have to wash this to reuse it, so it goes back at least to the similar properties before I knitted it up. I hope that it comes out similar to how it was when I first got it into a ball. Here's hoping, fingers crossed. You know, with knitting and everything, it's all about learning new skills. I'm still developing my skills even after 10, 12 years of knitting. So I haven't done this before. This is my first time like redoing a whole vest or a whole sweater or a whole garment. Usually if I don't like something, I just frog it as soon as I'm unhappy with it. But I'm actually taking a piece that I did like. I really enjoyed knitting it. I love the final outcome. It just wasn't what was planned. And that is okay. That is okay to start all over. I have to remember that, especially because I have a little bit of perfectionist tendencies. And, this is such a good yarn. Even though it grows and stretches, it's still good. And it'd be such a waste to make a sweater vest that and at the end of the day, would not use. I've got a lot more to go. This is only about 50 grams of I think it was, if I had like 6 balls of yarn and each was 40 grams, math was never my strong suit. I still have a lot to go.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
What also helped was knotting the yarns together. So I know that I had a lot of yarn that if I did not tie it together, it would have left me with very fine, not enough grams to turn it into a manageable ball. Say that 3 times fast. So you'll see occasionally I am tying the yarns together, and that's just so I have enough yarn per skein that justifies the amount that I'm winding up, if you get my drift. If the audio is funky, it's not because I'm not using my mic, but she's done! Oh, these yarns are so bouncy and squishy, but they do look like ramen, like I said earlier. I'm gonna wash these. Haven't washed skeins like these before, so I'm excited. Look at that. Oh, they're bouncy. Ooh. Love it. I love it so much. But yeah, I think this is about 4, I did like 4 different winding options for the skeins, and I'm pretty sure this is about 150, 200 grams. It looks a lot more, and I'm hoping it's enough to go from a size 5 to a size 2 for the sweater vest that I want to re-knit. So it's a lot of yarn, and we just gotta wash it. This isn't gonna work. It has to be more. So I'm Asian, which meant I did have a bidet that I used to fill up the water. If you have a bathtub or a shower, you can easily do that. I just filled in the tub and let the yarn soak in for about 10-15 minutes. Did I mention I used wool wash? I think so. I did a sprinkle of it, not a lot. it has a very strange smell, so I don't like using it as often. Make sure you don't wear your watch while you're doing this, or you're gonna definitely get it soaked. I definitely pushed the water in to ensure that it was as wet as possible before I tried it out. It's been about 15 minutes, so I'm gonna take it out in just a bit. I changed into my home sweats because I realized if I'm wearing a white skirt, I worry it's gonna get dirty. And also, it's raining. It was raining earlier, but now the skies are getting darker, so I'm hoping that the light is still okay when filming this video. We'll just have to see. I used an old towel that is not currently used for my body anymore, and I individually let the water wring out from the yarn. You can see that I'm not trying to agitate it, I'm just making sure the water is rinsed out. Oh, look at that. It's so gooey and gushy. I love it. I'm pulling it very gently, trying to avoid the rest of the yarn or the hanks that's currently in the water. I make sure that it's not as soaking wet, and I'm pulling it very gently, letting all the water wring out before I lay it flat on the towel next to me. I also fold the towel just to wring out all the excess water before I hang up to dry. Hang it up to dry. Yes, I said that correctly. Ta-da! The yarn is finally dry, and it's a lot of yarn. I let it, my voice, I let it stay out for maybe about a week in the bathroom. I just let it hang so all the water can just drip off, and this is finally dry. You can see that there is such a clear difference between how it was when it was winded up into hanks and then how it's looking like now. So a wash definitely helped. I have like the before yarn, and you can just see it looks like ramen. It's just so curled because it was stuck in stockinette and ribbing and cables, and now this is all good. We just have to wind it into a ball now. I have my Chalgu Swift winder, and I also have a ball winder, so I think that's what we're going to be doing today. Hopefully it's not going to take too long, but yeah, let's go do that. I think this is the most straightforward part of the video. If you've ever winded a ball of yarn, all you gotta do is just wind it up. You do not need an expensive yarn swift for this. I remember when I was starting out with knitting, I would just use my sister's arms or even my knees to wind the yarn up so I could actually use it. This was an investment that I made very recently, and it has been pretty good for me. It really made the whole process much smoother. And if you do find any of those knots that we did earlier, what you could do, what I did, I just cut it up. It might not be the safest or the easiest or the best method when you are working with yarn, but it worked for me, and I'm knitting up the project right now, and I have seen very little issue. The yarn is finally winded into balls. I need to weigh it, see how much yarn I have left, because I did cut a lot, tied a lot, so this is the remaining usable yarn that I can use. From the yarn, I checked on Ravelry. I think it was the Sono Maka, Hanamaka Sono yarn from Japan, and that was about 40 grams per skein, and I had 10, so I had about 400 grams. Now we got to figure it out. I have my kitchen scale, I have my yarn bowl. Let's see the number. This is like the moment of truth for us, and you can't even see how much it is. It's fine, I'll put it on the screen. Is this the safest? I'm not entirely sure. Okay, so it says 332.9 grams. I'm going to round it down, and I'm going to say it's 332 grams. So we lost about 68 grams of yarn, so like one skein of it, 1.5. I think that's about it from me. I am going to take some time to actually knit this into another version of the untitled vest. So if you want to keep watching that, it should be out in a few weeks, depending on the amount of time it takes me to knit it. But nevertheless, I do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do like and comment and subscribe and do all that usual stuff. Hope this video has been helpful, and I will see you later. Okay, bye!